Na 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 na
Hi, this is Hall of Famer Eric Dickerson.
Hey, I'm Zane Gonzalez.
What's up, everybody? I'm Matt Leinart, 2004 Heisman Trophy winner.
Hi, I'm Matt Barry from ESPN. You're getting ready to watch one of the best college football podcasts ever. It's the Harris Highlights Show.
You're watching the Harris Highlight Show.
And you're watching the Harris Highlight Show.
And you listen to the Harris Highlights Show. Enjoy it.
Coming to you live from my backyard in beautiful Monrovia, California. This is the Harris Highlights Show. We got a very fun show for you guys this week. Can't wait to get started. But joining me this week is our college football analyst, Josh Schaefer, our college football expert, Lyle Goldstein, our executive producer, Brady Klein, and I'm your host, Blake Harris. Boys, what are we drinking tonight?
Something that is not a proud sponsor of the Harris Highlights Show, but it's in my 2013 Rose Bowl Cup. So we're having a blast, boys.
I see you're holding a Wisconsin side out.
Who won this year? It was Stanford, right? This is the McCaffrey year. No, that was 20.
Stafford, Wisconsin. No, that's from what early 2010s. Stanford, Wisconsin, I think. Doesn't it have a year on it.
2013.
2013.
Final score was 2014. Stanford.
Well, that's confusing.
Wasn't that when Wisconsin was there like 3 years in a row and lost to all three? Because the first one was Russell Wilson. He lost to TCU.
You know, Josh, I've just drank too much water today. I can't remember. What else are we drinking, boys? Well, Josh didn't even answer what he's drinking, but that's fine. What else are we drinking, boys?
I got some vitamin water. Got to get your vitamins and your water, so why not double up and go vitamin water?
Nice. Well, what are we drinking?
I was over prepared. I got all my good drinks before the show. So
I was getting ready for Lyle to pull up like a protein shake and be like, "Yeah, I just actually had a nice pump, and this is all I had, so I'm drinking that." Guys, I got a nice hydro flask of some water, which is absolutely delicious. So,
Blake likes my hydro flask.
Right?
I
have an empty hydro flask for what it's worth.
All right, so we all got
a
the
Yeti cooler upstairs
for Brady. So for those of you that are tuning in, welcome. For those of you new people, welcome. This is the Harris Highlights Show. In case there's some people joining that don't know, it's us talking about college football once a week. So for those of you that missed last week's show, let me give you the quick rundown on what exactly happened. We thought it'd be a fun idea to do a fantasy draft featuring the greatest college football players ever. So we pretty much made a doc with the best quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. We did defensive players, and we also got coaches, broadcasters. We got stadiums and mascots this week because last week a bunch of fans asked for that. So we did the first, I believe we're doing 18 total rounds. We did the first 9 rounds last week. We're doing our next 9 rounds tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. But, guys, before we get to that, do we want to pretty much go over our teams? I forgot who I drafted, so I had to go and look at who my team was earlier. So I don't know if you guys have it up, you guys remember, but one by one, or if Brady actually can load that right now. Actually, it's right here. We can go over our team. So I guess we can go around pretty much spend 30 minutes talking about, or 30 seconds talking about what you thought on your draft last week, who your favorite pick was, and I guess what you're looking forward to tonight adding to your team. So, Josh, we'll start with you.
So with my first pick, I actually went DB, and I went for Ronnie Lott, which I think may have been a little bit surprising if I were to have gone. I think, to be totally honest with you, the only other person on the board that I would have picked number one, not Ronnie Lott, actually would have been another DB. It would have been Charles Woodson. Oh, no. Input must – okay.
Oh, there we go.
Cool. So that's who I took number one. I decided to go with Ronnie Lott, pick a Trojan. I didn't want to take a quarterback yet, but I saw Leinart on the board and thought I had to take my boy. The wide receivers, like I kind of mentioned, my philosophy last time was if there's somebody that you want, take them while you can. So I took 2 wide receivers back to back, and the next guy that I would have gone for was Randy Moss, and Blake took him. So because the receivers, we have how many spots on the board here? 12 spots, and I think we only had 13 receivers. So I said the philosophy was if you've got somebody in mind, take them when you can. And that seems to be what we've all done so far. But yep, I think Josh and Brady both have to take a quarterback. So there are a lot of good quarterbacks still on the board. So not really concerned.
Yeah, I took Joe Burrow first. Maybe part of that's recency bias, but I mean, it's funny. A lot of people in the comments were like, shocker, were like, Lyle, what are you doing? What are you doing? But like, I mean, to be honest, like, I don't know what else criteria wise he would have had to meet to not be one of the first couple guys off the board between 15-0, a Heisman, a national championship, and like blowing every team out of the water while also playing the most important position on the football field. So I took Burrow first. I'm pretty happy with the receiving core that I kind of formulated together. Megatron, Crabtree, who was insane in his 2 years, and then Keyshawn Johnson. So yeah, I kind of went offense first, but I like what I've got so far.
Not to mention Lyle was the first person to pick a head coach.
Oh, sorry. Let me touch on that too, because there is no point in taking any of these skill players if you're going to take some 1940s head coach who's going to run his team like the 1940s. So, you think it's too early to take a head coach. I'd argue head coaches are pretty important.
Yeah.
What coaches on here do we have from the 1940s? I'm actually intrigued now.
Newt
Rockne. Bear Bryant's about as far back as they go besides Newt Rockne. Lou Holtz is pretty old, but he's a little different.
Anyway, so Brady, your team.
I thought we were going in order on the document, but that's fine. My team, I had the 4th pick and was able to snake. So I grabbed Tim Tebow with my first pick in the first round. And then I went with Herschel Walker, one of the most dominant running backs and one of the most dominant quarterbacks of all time. One of the guys that I'm most upset I didn't get in any of the rounds, and Josh is going to hear this from me once again, is Orlando Pace, the most dominant collegiate offensive lineman of probably all time. But I jumped the gun a little early and went with a tight end in one of the earlier rounds and grabbed Gronk, I think the 6th or 7th round. So then everyone else followed after that. So I got one more spot in wide receiver, one more spot in quarterback to fill, and the rest will be fun. And Lyle's got some running backs he needs to fill out too. So it's going to be interesting to see what Big L does with his RB spots.
Yeah, we talked about it last week. We let Lyle know that he is allowed to draft running back. So for those of you that are watching, he does know that in order to, finish the draft, he does have to draft running back. So don't worry about that. He knows going forward into tonight. My first picks, I went with Barry Sanders and Reggie Bush. I just thought get arguably the best running back in college football history, and then follow him with the most exciting running back in college football history. And then, as you can see, I just made nothing but awesome picks after awesome picks. I mean, each pick was excellent. It was fantastic. The best pick, I think if you had to make a case for the 9 best picks of the entire draft, my 9 would be the 9. It was a great overall draft, but I'm really looking forward to this. I know a lot of people in the comments are ready for us to get this draft going. Brady, I really hope you got the draft jingle loaded up tonight because everyone enjoyed it last week. I know the 4 of us did. So there it is. So actually, Brady, you are officially on the clock since we did a snake draft last week and Josh began. So Brady, you're officially on the clock. So take it away.
All right. Well, I've had a lot of time to think about this, but one thing, we didn't touch on in the intro, Blake, is something that we texted with right before the show. If you want to go, maybe look at your phone and see and touch on that before we jump into the draft. What do you think?
Oh, yes. Happy 1 day late Memorial Day. We want to give a quick shout out right now as I have to switch my Twitter account because I was on the show's Twitter account to, hold on, give me a second right here. Where is it? We got Bobby, I'm going to butcher this last name as always, P. Wowwar, Bobby P. Wowwar, at Bo_knows11, who is currently active, but I don't think we have the photos right now. But one of our shows we did a few weeks ago was like a trivia show, and he actually, with him and the boys out there, they partook in the trivia, and he wrote down all of his answers, all the questions, sent it to us. So Happy Memorial Day to everyone. But major shout out to Bo_knows11. That was awesome. We all thought it was super cool. So if you're watching right now on the live stream, go give him a follow at Bo_knows11 and just tell him thanks. So there you go. Also give the show a follow at the HH show _. So I'm going to put that in the comment section as well because it's a must follow. We hit 800 followers today, boys. Yay us.
All
Good
right.
for us. Cheers to that. All right, now I'll take my time and be back on the clock. One thing I touched on when we were going over our teams is what I need and what I need to fill, and that's quarterback and wide receiver. But to Lyle's point, similar with the running backs, I'm going to stay away from a quarterback for right now. I'm going to fill up my wide receiver spots and go with the guy who was the 6th overall pick in the 1999 draft. I'm going to go Torrey Holt, a Ram, from NC State. Torrey Holt filling up my wide receiver spots there.
I like
Really
it. Well,
good pick.
and yet again, Brady forgot to do his jingle. But Brady, the good thing is I'm ready for mine. I already know who my pick's gonna be. So
That one was for me. This one's for you.
I know. With the what are we on? 10th pick. With the 10th pick, pick number 1 for day 2 of the Harris Highlights all-time great college football fantasy draft. My team is, the greatest team ever assembled. It's going to make a splash, but this is a highly needed position right here. I desperately need this, and I got to get him. Anytime you can get the best of all time at a certain position, it's an absolute win, regardless of what round you take him in. So my team has to go with Zane Gonzalez.
Knew it!
From Arizona State. I mean, my team's going to have to kick field goals and get extra points at some point, guys. I might as well have the best to ever do it. So there we go.
You must not trust your offense all that much then, huh?
Now I need a guy that can hit it from 70 yards out, so I got that in Zane.
It's a good pick. It's a really good pick.
Thank you.
Somebody was going to do it sooner or later, right?
Yeah, seriously.
Well, Brady, I think I'm ready to go. So once again, you want to cue it up. I think we're good. With the 10th pick in the all-time Harris Highlights draft, Team Lyle selects Ndamukong Suh, defensive lineman, Nebraska. Look, I mean, I think we talked about Aaron Donald and his dominance on the last show when Blake took him. I mean, if Donald's up, if you consider Donald number 1, I mean, Suh isn't far behind. This guy had 2 dominant years in college football, and maybe as dominant a years as you kind of asked for, especially for a guy that plays interior lineman. I mean, 20 plus tackles for loss his senior year. He did it for 2 straight years. I mean, he was dominant for 2 straight years. And he was a Heisman finalist too. So again, you want to get a guy that's going to disrupt the offensive line on the opposing side. This is one of the short list of guys to do it with.
Yeah, that's a really good pick.
Good pick.
And I'm kind of noticing the trend here with now that we have 2 guys with already the defensive ends off the board, or the defensive lineman off the board. And this was a tough situation for me because you kind of want to think, all right, I mean, I'm even sporting the maroon and gold. Which player donning the maroon and gold do I want to go for here? Do you want to go for Zane Gonzalez? I feel like that would have been the top choice. And then Blake gets him here. So then it comes down to the defensive lineman. And I'm actually, I think I'm going to go in a different direction. I'm going to pass on Terrell Suggs, and I'm going to take Jadeveon Clowney.
Another week, Josh.
I've done it every pick. Yeah, I mean, defensive line, it's tough to, I think the separation between some of these guys is not very big. And I think that between Donald and Ndamukong Suh, I feel like you're right there. But just when you factor in a player that had just pure athleticism and was absolutely dominant in his position when he played, for me, that's Jadeveon Clowney. Out of the guys remaining on the board, I want somebody who's going to be nasty. And pairing Jadeveon Clowney with Mike Singletary and Ronnie Lott, I'm feeling pretty good. It's my pick again, isn't it?
It is.
It is. Well, I think I can survive with a couple more picks here for the quarterbacks. So I'm going to stay away from the quarterbacks. I already got my tight end. I think the time has come to also grab a kicker. And for me, it's a guy. Now, I'm really bad at that, aren't I? I'm so
really
bad. There's no improvement. Since Zane is no longer on the board, I'm going for another player that I got to see play in person. Not when he was kicking for UCLA, but when he was kicking in high school. And that's Kai Forbath, who is the greatest kicker I have ever seen in person based off of pure power in the leg. The best athlete I've ever seen in my entire life across any sport is Zane Gonzalez.
Well,
But
we have some time, Josh. So do you want to tell the story pretty quickly?
I can tell the story quickly. Kai Forbath went to Notre Dame High School in the San Fernando Valley out in Sherman Oaks area. And when I was younger, I used to go to Birmingham High School football games. My dad went to Birmingham in the 80s. So I decided, all right, hey, let's go check out some Birmingham football games because they were really good when I was a kid. So I went to their games like 2005 through like 2008. I would go to their games, and they would always schedule the biggest like non-conference or non-division teams in the area. And one of the top teams at the time was Notre Dame. So we went to go see him play at Notre Dame, and out comes Kai Forbath at halftime. And he just sets up, they have the flat little black kicker's tee, or the field goal kicking tee that a lot of guys use. So he put it on that, and they have like that metal stand, the tri-fold like stand that holds the ball. And he puts it up at the 50-yard line, and with ease is just draining 60-yard field goals. And my dad and I are sitting there at halftime watching Kai Forbath kick 60-yard field goals with ease. Like, is anybody else seeing this right now? And then I don't remember who won the game. A couple years later, he's playing at UCLA, and my dad and I are at an SC football game, and we're walking into the Coliseum, and it's a night game. So we're walking in past like all the other people tailgating, and on one of the big tailgates that we walk by on the TV is the UCLA Oregon State game at the Rose Bowl. And UCLA is setting up to kick a field goal to win the game. And everybody around's like, 56-yard field goal, not a chance this kid makes it. And my dad and I are like, oh, it's Kai Forbath. This guy's going to nail it. And sure enough, with ease, Kai Forbath hits this chip shot 57, 58-yard field goal to walk it off for UCLA. And then had a pretty decent pro career too. So he's a guy that I like to say that I saw kick 60-yard field goals at halftime in high school. It's my kicker.
All that for a kicker.
Yep. You better believe it, baby.
Somebody say kicker.
Oh, is Lyle going
Brady,
kicker?
cue the music, Brady.
Oh, yes.
I think I know where this is going.
Oh, I know where it's going, too.
With the 11th pick in the all-time Harris Highlights draft, Team Lyle selects kicker Roberto Aguayo, Florida State.
I was wrong.
So we have different opinions on. Everybody's kind of had a different opinion of the three of us that have taken kickers so far. Look, I know Zane Gonzalez went to the same school as me. I think Roberto Aguayo is the best college kicker to ever do it. Like, this guy, borderline, did not miss. He played only 3 years. Like, Zane's got the field goal record, yeah. But Zane had the extra year, and his offense wasn't as good, and it gave him more chance to kick field goals. So some of those numbers are going to be a little bit better. I mean, watching Aguayo, I'd watch him take the field, and it was as much of a sure thing of a made field goal, I feel like, as you could find in college football for as long as I can remember. His NFL career is a different story, but this is an all-time college draft, and in college, Roberto Aguayo was something special.
I mean,
Absolutely was.
the thing is, guys, as I've mentioned time and time again, my team is the best thing I've ever seen. But in order to be the best, you got to be coached by the best. So Brady, this pick is already in. Now, this team is going to go out there and they're going to win championships. And who better to coach my team, to lead my team to the PL, the promised land, take me into the Mists of Avalon, than the greatest coach that is Nick Saban. There you go. We're winning championships, and we need the guy that wins the most, well, to win. So, Nick Saban, welcome aboard.
I mean, if you're going to take a coach, you might as well go with the best. So I commend you for that, Blake.
Thank you.
All right. I like it. Oh, hang on. I got rid of the audio. There we go. I think I get a snake here. So I got one that I know is in the bag that I want to take, but the second I'm not really sure. I'm going to jump on the D-line train here and go with the guy that Josh, I think, stupidly passed on. And that's the man that holds the collegiate record for sacks in a career. I mean, 44 sacks. That's not going to be beaten at all. 65 and a half TFLs in a career, 163 tackles. and he did it for the maroon and gold. I am going to. Oh, that's kicker. Hang on. I'm going with T Sizzle. I'm going with. I didn't announce my pick yet. Hang on. There you go. I'm going Terrell Suggs. I think he's one of the most dominant defensive front guys of all time. You can put him on the inside of the defensive line or throw him out to linebacker. So he's one of those top guys of all time. And I got to go back to back. I'm not going to take a kicker yet because I can just hold off on that for a while because you all picked your kickers.
True.
Look at the chart here. What can I do? Oh, man, I don't know. Who are our coaches we have? I want to write in Coach O just because of that video of him running down the street.
That was great. You look like me running out there.
Dude, what would you do if you're driving down the street and you look over like, is that Coach O? I mean, that was awesome. I loved it.
Coach O not even cracked this list when we made the doc to begin with.
I don't know. I can always write him in and add him
You
after.
can write him in if you want, Brady.
I don't want to write him in.
He's just not one of the greatest coaches of all time.
Yeah, I'm with Josh on that. How many good
It
seasons
doesn't have
have you
to
really
be.
had?
It doesn't have to be. It's Brady's team. He can do whatever he wants.
It is my team. I think I'm going to go with a coach too. And I'm going to go with a guy that has won six national championships. I'm going with Bear Bryant, another Alabama coach off the board.
That's tough. That's real tough.
Another Bama coach off the board. Sorry
That's
to do it
real
to you,
tough.
Josh.
That's tough.
I didn't play the jingle again.
That's real tough.
There you go. It's okay, Josh. You can have Lou Holtz now.
Yeah, I'm real thrilled.
Daffy Duck.
Well, guys, as I've been drafting my team, what has been a common theme that I've said in regards to the players I take?
They need to be the best. They need to be huge.
Aside from being the best, what do I want to do with my fans?
We want to win.
Well, I want to put fans in the seats because I want to have the most exciting team on the field. Now, unfortunately, not every one of my fans will be able to afford tickets to my game, even though I'm going to make them practically free. So a lot of fans are going to have to watch at home. Now, that being said, with them watching at home, I got to have the best and the most exciting duo in the booth.
Way.
I do. You got to have the best, okay? So in order to watch the best team on TV, you got to have the best guys in the booth. So Brady, my pick is in. With my next pick in the greatest of all time fantasy draft, Team Harris highlights selects Gus Johnson and Kirk Herbstreit to be the broadcasters in the booth calling all my games on television. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I'm honestly surprised it wasn't Josh.
Mm.
We should have had a broadcast partner of Josh and Lyle.
That's true. But I'm trying to take
I'll pick
the
that one.
best.
I can't argue with that. I would say Gus Johnson is better than I am. I'll give him that. Just a freezing cold take right there. I'm gonna stick on players for now. And I'm looking across the board. And to be honest, I like somebody who can do a lot of different things and wear a lot of different hats. So Brady, if you're ready to cue that music up, I'm ready to make my next pick. And with the 12th pick, I believe, are we on pick 12? 5, 6, 7, 8,
It'd
9,
be
10,
round
11. Yeah,
12.
12.
Yeah.
So with my 12th pick in the all-time Harris highlights draft, Team Lyle selects Ted Ginn, wide receiver, kick returner, Ole Miss. So look, if you look at this guy's wide receiver numbers alone, especially in his last year at Ohio State, they're pretty good. Like, they're solid enough. But then when you factor in everything he did in the return game too, this makes this guy a really, really valuable kind of all you can do hybrid type of player. Not hybrid on defense, but hybrid, like he can wear multiple hats and he can perform a lot of different tasks. And I'm happy to get Ted Ginn on my team because he was a flashy player at Ohio State.
Ohio State or Ole Miss, Lyle?
Ohio State.
You said Ole Miss. All right.
Wait, no, I didn't. I said Ohio State.
You said Ole Miss.
Oh, well, I mean
At the very beginning, you said Ole Miss. Just saying.
Oh, whoops. Well, Ohio State.
It happens. It's a good pick. I was looking at that for mine. Really big fan again in the flex. I mean, he had his own iPhone app too at one point. Ted Ginn's kick return.
Um,
Great game.
So my pick is in too. You can. With whatever pick and the whatever Harris Highlight Show draft, my team to be named later selects. Where is he? Jim Thorpe, one of the best college football players of all time, and this guy did everything when he was in college. He's got a bunch of really great stories too. He was an Olympic gold medalist, just a pure athlete, one of the best athletes we have in just college athletics history. And he was extremely versatile on the football field. He's got awards named after him. So Jim Thorpe, that's the way I'm going with it. And then with my next pick, see here's another tough one. I could go a couple of different ways here, but since so Blake still needs to take another receiver, and I'm interested to see who he's going to take. So I think I'm going to let him go first on terms of the receivers. I don't need to take a quarterback because there's 100 of them, and I can pick later. And head coach, I have my time to think about who I want to pick. So I think I'm going to turn toward the broadcasters too. And you know, Gus Johnson and Herbie. I think that's one of the best duos that we created here. So I could go Keith Jackson and Pat McAfee, which might be the most interesting matchup we have here. But I think the next really good one here, I'm going for Chris Fowler and Joel Klatt. See, I gave you a heads up this time.
I know you did. I was ready for it.
I was ready. So Chris Fowler and Joel Klatt. I think Fowler's great. Love that he does the game of the week now. And Joel Klatt, I think, is fantastic. Love listening to him too. So I kind of like, we experimented a little bit and combined a whole bunch of different crews.
I like it.
Yeah, I love Joel Klatt. I think Joel Klatt's like a phenomenal analyst. And then also with Chris Fowler, like when you hear his voice, you kind of know it's a big game.
Oh yeah.
So,
Honestly, his call of the Brandon Ayuk touchdown in the late game against Oregon this year is honestly one of my favorite calls I've heard from him in a long time.
Oh, it was really good.
And a downfield shot to Ayuk. That's what he said.
Yes, it was.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we're getting kind of into this thing. We're getting late into this draft. But you know what? I'm from a place where fans affect games and really can play an impact on the outcome of a football contest. So in college, that's only ramped up. So I'm ready to go, Brady, if you're ready to cue up that music. And with my next pick in the Harris Highlights all-time draft, Team Lyle selects LSU. Damn. Take me down to the Bayou, to Death Valley, and have me play in my games at LSU. Those fans get rowdy. Especially with
Joe Burrow as your quarterback.
Exactly. Can't get any better than that, right?
I'm upset that Lyle didn't write in Natty Light Stadium in what was it, North Dakota? That's a nice 500,000 seat stadium where you don't enter from the bottom.
The slide.
Top and the slide comes in, whatever that was.
I think somebody suggested last week that we added in, like some fan comment.
I thought I didn't look at the stadiums. I just assumed someone put Natty Light Stadium in there. Well, for those new viewers that have never heard your proposal for the greatest stadium where every national championship should take place, let the viewers know really quickly about what you came up with.
If I can remember everything I said on that episode, I mean, I forget. We'll have to go back and look what episode it is, and maybe we can like pin it or something, or maybe we tweeted it. I think we tweeted it out a while back. But from everything I can remember, yeah, it's like 500,000 seats. It's in the middle of North Dakota because I said, I mean, there's absolutely nothing in that state. So why not give fans a reason to go somewhere new and explore somewhere new like North Dakota? So it's like 500,000, or no, it's like 1 million. It was 1 million people. And then you enter by not like walking through the door, but you like slide down this like 300-foot slide, and you're greeted by some quarterback that didn't make the national title game to just hurl you a pass from the bottom of the slide to catch as you like lift off at the end of the ride.
Yes.
Something like that. There might have been other parts I added too back when we did it. I'll have to go back and look.
Yeah, so I like good old Natty Lights. So Lyle takes LSU, Death Valley with the first overall one. But Brady, I'm all ready to go, so you can cue up my music for me. Well, my defense is already pretty solid, boys. I mean, I got Aaron Donald and Sean Taylor. I mean, that's a lethal 1-2 punch right there. But I got to get a third, so I got to go linebacker right here. There's a few guys that I could choose from, but in regards to taking a linebacker, I need killers out there, so I'm going to go with Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis is my linebacker right there. Killer on the field. So there you go.
Killer on the field.
I'd like to acquire O.J. Simpson as well, please. Thank you. Too soon?
Thank you. You're welcome.
Unreal.
All right, Brady.
You know what? I think I'm at the point where I'm going to fill my kicker spot. And I think if you look at the guys remaining, Lyle can tell you exactly who I'm going to pick, but I'll just make this a lot easier for everybody. Just here you go.
A 35-yard field goal try to kick the Vikings to 2-0. Snap spot. Carlson! He missed it again, and he missed it right. And for the third time in the history of the border battle,
field goal was missed. That is the end of the game.
We have a tie. Daniel Carlson missed 3 field goals today, and the Vikings and the Packers finish tied at 29. This is Vikings football.
This is Vikings football.
That's quite the sales pitch, Brady.
Even though he missed that, he didn't miss a single extra point in college. He was a great kicker in college, was drafted in the 5th round by the Vikings. That didn't, last too long for him in Minnesota. But one of the best college kickers we've seen in years past was 198 for 198 in PATs, 92 for 114, so an 81% field goal kicker. That's pretty good, especially playing in Auburn. So Daniel Carlson, and I picked him purely so I could play that clip on the show. Not gonna lie, that's the only reason I picked him on here. The next one I have, I'm gonna go with a flex guy, and he's one of those guys that was, I'd say, one of the most overshadowed football players in the history of college football. He was on one of the most dominant teams with one of the most dominant players of all time, as his, you could say, backup, and he's a flex guy in our chart here. So I'm gonna go with Lendale White as my flex player. I mean, 57 touchdowns in college, and he was behind Reggie Bush. Anywhere else, he would have been a top running back in the country. He still was a top running back in the country, but you throw him in the flex here and can utilize him pretty much all over the place. So I'm going to go with Lendale White here. And what round this is, I think, 14.
Thunder and lightning, baby. I mean, they were nasty together, and Lendale definitely does not get enough love for how good those SC teams were. Because I think a lot of people think about like Leinart and Reggie. And Leinart, and Lendale obviously does get a lot of respect, but if you take Reggie Bush off that team, I still think they're the top team in college football for that, whatever dynasty that was, to 03 to or 02 to 06 or whatever it was. Because he was just that good. He could have carried the team on his own if he had to.
And you throw him at the flex, and you can utilize him in the offense with Herschel and Bo Jackson. I'm not opposed to that.
Oh yeah.
Well, this is tough right now because I'm looking, and there's a number of ways I can go. Ooh, this is hard. But Brady, I think I'm ready to go, so you can load it up. With my next pick in my incredible, awesome, fantastic draft, team Blake Harris selects wide receiver Mike Williams. I know he's been pretty bad in the NFL, but this guy was an absolute beast when he was at Clemson. My goodness. So, I mean, the fact that there's been so many great Clemson wide receivers, over the years, and the fact that they went with Mike Williams, that just goes to show how dominant he was in college. And plus, I was a little scared that Josh was potentially going to snag him for me with the next one, so I had to get him there.
The reason why you should have been scared why I would have snagged him was because I meant USC Mike Williams, not Clemson Mike Williams when I put him on the list.
But, yeah, I was going to say, wasn't that supposed to be SC Mike Williams?
Oh, well. Even better.
Should
There
have
you go.
clarified. Should have
If so,
clarified.
it's a better pick.
There we go. Well, I get both.
Yeah, but
You get all the names.
All right, we'll add an extra wide receiver slot so that Blake can have the other Mike Williams too. Yeah, good pick though.
All
To be
right.
fair, I feel
I like
like
the
I
pick.
should have specified when I added that to the list.
Yeah, it's kind of on you, Josh.
I was feeling a little bit better when we blamed it on Blake, so we'll blame it on Blake.
Yeah,
but
Blake.
way to go, Blake.
Okay.
All right. The pick is in. So Brady, I'm ready to go whenever you are. And with my next pick in the all-time Harris highlights draft, Team Lyle selects the broadcast crew of Mike Tirico and Todd Blackledge. So a couple good broadcast teams have gone off the board already. I think Mike Tirico is one of the best in the business. It's not just because he calls Notre Dame football. I genuinely think he is really, really good. And Todd Blackledge is a good analyst. Like, he does a college football playoff game every year with Sean McDonough. And between these kind of teams that we mixed around and jumbled around here a little bit, I kind of like this combo, especially with Tirico's energy and Blackledge's knowledge. I mean, I'd like to have this team calling my games.
I like that.
Yeah,
Big
Good pick.
Tirico guy. Big Tirico guy.
Yeah, it's a good pick.
Now, Lyle, you do know that you can draft running backs. You do know that we gave you permission.
He has no need to draft running backs right now, though, Blake.
I know, because all of us have running backs. They're not going anywhere. I'm
No.
just giving them grief. He
That's
can
why I'm
literally
still waiting to draft a
cost
head
two
coach.
picks.
Eventually.
God.
Give it time. Is it Josh or Blake?
It's
Josh.
me. Well, now that Mike Williams is off the board, it makes this wide receiver decision a little bit easier for
Also,
me.
Josh, but I just want to quickly mention, so I compared the stats between Clemson Mike Williams and USC Mike Williams. Clemson Mike Williams, 177 catches. USC Mike Williams, 176 catches. Mike Williams, Clemson receiving yards, 2,727. USC, 2,579. Mike Williams, Clemson, 21 touchdowns. Mike Williams, USC, 30 touchdowns.
They're
So
pretty similar.
I was going to say, that's really close.
they're really close. So
Yeah,
either one is fine. I just thought I'd compare
Yeah.
the numbers right there.
that's surprisingly close. Yeah. I think so. Who was on that?
Oh, wait. Well, okay, hang on. USC Mike Williams played 2 years. So there's the difference.
Yeah, and technically Clemson one played. I guess he played 3 because you don't count his junior year when he played 1 game.
Yeah.
He's the one that hit his head like on the goalpost, right? Or is that another one?
Well, so what other receivers were on that Clemson team?
Deion Kane, who I think he was a Colt for a little bit.
He's a Colt, yeah.
Martavis Bryant was there.
Oh, that's right.
No, that's earlier, right?
Oh, it's earlier. I can't.
Well, Bryant played with Sammy Watkins and DeAndre Hopkins. That receiving trio was insane with Taj
Okay.
Boyd and them. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
those are the numbers. But yes, USC Mike Williams did it in one fewer season. So
Yeah.
Might be-
Also, I think there were a couple of other targets there for Carson Palmer when Williams was there. Like, I know Kerry Colbert was there too, and he was really good. But yeah.
Actually, Blake, you're actually right. Bryant and Williams were there at like the same time.
okay.
Where was I here? Oh, I get yeah. So Blake made it a little bit easier for me. So Brady, I have my pick. I'm getting better here. So you can cue that little music. There we go.
Someone in the comments said to take Stark. For Stark.
No.
And as you
I
take
pre-
Stark, you have to give his rally speech.
No, because this is a family program. I'm gonna go back to the receivers. I'm gonna round things out here. I'm gonna take Tim Brown. I think Tim Brown, obviously, like all of these guys, one of the best college football players of all time. He was phenomenal at Notre Dame. His stats just in general are pretty nuts. He also played his pro ball in LA. But he played 4 full years at Notre Dame, played at least 10 games every season. and finished his career with nearly 2,500 yards. The big thing for Tim Brown was he didn't have a lot of touchdowns. He only had 12 in his whole career, and never had more than 5 in a season. But this was also the 80s when, especially at Notre Dame, they were more inclined to run the football. So I think he's really good. Obviously, I mean, he only had 12 receiving touchdowns. He had 16 total in his career. But Tim Brown's my pick. And then I will flip things right over to quarterback and take a guy who's a consensus top 3 coach of all time. I didn't say it yet. I'm going to count that one as improving. I'm going to count that as improvement.
I read the room.
Thank you. I am going to look toward Lincoln, Nebraska, and I'm taking Tom Osborne. Another coach who, I mean, his win percentage is like 85%. And I was so close to taking Knute Rockne. But again, like Lyle makes a good point. I mean, again, these guys aren't actually going to play, and I've got players from a whole bunch of different ages on here. So my thing isn't necessarily, I don't want a guy who coached in, the 40s or 50s or whatever to be coaching this team. But they played fewer games back then. He won like 5 national championships, but he only has 100 career wins, or like 105 career wins. Tom Osborne is pushing 300 career wins and an 85% win percentage. And then in his final 5 years at Nebraska, he coached his team to 4 national championship appearances. And this was, not necessarily the peak of the Nebraska dynasty, but one of the best Cornhusker dynasties to date. So for me, Tom Osborne, that's my head coach.
Good pick, Josh. I'll say this: you take a Heisman winner as the last receiver, to fill the chart. That's pretty good. That's pretty good value. Let's see. All right, I think I'm ready to go. I mean, I've had my eye on this guy for a while, but I haven't had the reason to take him yet. But I think I'm ready to give him my selection, Brady.
He's going DB.
With my next pick in the all-time Harris highlights draft, Team Lyle selects Ed Reed, safety from Miami. Look, on a Miami team back in the early 2000s that was considered one of, if not the greatest of all time. I mean, this guy was so good, both at the college and the NFL level on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, 21 picks in his career as a safety. He had 9 in his senior season. And then he went on to have like a Hall of Fame NFL career too. But sticking on what he did at Miami, I mean, he was like one of the many faces of that defense, and he helped anchor him to, the ultimate heights and more. So Ed Reed to be my defensive back, again, like with the value of being this late, I'm pretty happy to get this guy in my defensive backfield.
Yeah, that whole Miami team was just so good. I think it was like 38 players were drafted, I think, from the team, and like every starter was like drafted, or it was like every starter was like a first round pick, some crazy stats like that. But boys, with my team, I've talked about a few things. I've talked about excitement. I've talked about, the fans' enjoyment, and I've talked about just overall having the best of everything. So I have the most exciting players on the field. I have the most exciting broadcasters in the booth, which means I'm missing something. It means I'm missing having the most exciting mascot, roaming the sidelines, motivating the players, motivating the fans, talking smack to the opposing team and their mascot. It's, it's a move that has to be done, a move where, I got to improve my team. And in order to be the best, you got to get the best. And that requires getting the best mascot in the game. So great. You the pick with the, I don't know pick of the I don't know round of the greatest of all time fantasy draft for college football. My team selects the Duck, also known as Puddles, from the University of Oregon.
That's a shocker. Mind blown that Blake made this pick.
Hey,
also, his name's not Puddles.
I know it's the Duck. I said the Duck, also known as Puddles. It was either him or Sparky, because, I mean, if you have the devil as your mascot, like, who does he lose to?
I don't know, dude. Maybe Pistol Pete.
When we had our mascot battle, I mean, aside from our Hurricane and Pistol Pete shooting things, I mean, again, Pistol Pete has a gun and all, but when you have a guy with a gun going against the devil, I think I know who's going to win. But Puddles,
The only
also-
thing that can beat a devil is a fiddle in
Okay,
Georgia.
but also Miami's
That's true. That's
Miami.
true. Yeah, Brady, that's a great point.
Thank you, Josh.
Except Miami's mascot isn't actually a hurricane. That's their name. Their mascot's like a bird.
Oh, because they can't have just a tornado just roaming through the city, Lyle, like the Iowa State Cyclones. That's why they've got a cardinal. They can't just have una tormenta just strolling through Iowa.
I think we need to go back and actually have an in-depth show where it's a straight. It's a mascot battle royale, and we have to
I'm
just
down.
go in depth on everything because that whoever asked that Q&A question like months and months ago about what mascot would win in a battle royale, that was a fun time. So I think we just have nothing to talk about. Just have a show where we just like match up all the mascots with each other and talk about.
Wait, hold on. I'm still mad. Lyle, you know there are other mascots in the Big 12 that have guns just like Pistol Pete, right?
Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Pistol Pete's taking him down.
Why? Because he's got a big
He has
hat.
two.
It's a
I
giant
think
target.
the Pete's got 2. I think the
I'm-
Red Raiders got 1.
I think he's got 2 also. Doesn't he?
Doesn't the Red Raider have like that Zorro mask on? So maybe like it obstructs, the view.
Stop. What did you just say?
There's the Zorro mask.
Oh, I thought you said Zorro. I was like, who? Great
Hey
films.
man, again, the Hurricanes mascot's a bird. It may technicality, if you will, but it is a bird going up against the guy.
Technicality,
with the
I
gun.
will
Lyle,
say this.
He's an ibis. He's an ibis. He's not just a bird, all right?
The Pistol Pete mascot head looks like it's made out of paper mache and plastic, and it's like bobbling around all over the place. Like, how can you get a clean shot off when your head's going like this?
Dude, he's focused. He's dialed in.
Dialed in.
I just don't think so.
Pistol Pete has been the official mascot for Oklahoma State since 1923.
Well, Brady, you're on the clock.
I am on the clock. If we're sticking on this, I might stick in the mascot arena. And I think my pick is in. I'm going to remember to press that this time. Puddles is arguably one of the most famous mascots in sports. One of the most underrated mascots in sports is one that can beat all of them. And like someone said earlier, how do you lose to the devil? You don't lose to the devil.
You can't lose to the devil.
You
He's
can't
safe.
lose to the devil. Especially a Sun Devil, and he has a
Unless you're
pitchfork.
Jesus.
Thanks. What about the Super Devil? He rides a motorcycle.
Super Devil.
See, it has to be a Sun Devil though, because if you're taking like a Blue Devil, I feel like a Blue Devil can be beat. I feel like
Yeah.
a Blue Devil is nothing, but a Sun Devil. Not only is he the devil, he's got
Has the power of the
Oh, my
sun.
mom's here.
Deanna.
Deanna for her weekly appearance.
This has just happened 2 weeks in a row. We're just live doing our show, and she's just closing my windows.
What? I got the air conditioning on. Hi, everybody.
Thanks, Deanna.
That was awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Brady, you're on the clock again.
I'm gonna go close my door, guys.
That's like when you're like at college game day and you're standing there watching college game day on your phone. You're like, I'm on TV.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
All right. I'm going. Do you guys all have broadcast crews? You do, so I can hold off for that. You know what? I think I'm going to go with the stadium, and it's going to be very specific. So someone in the comments said, Lyle, are all of your games going to be at LSU played at night? And I think the answer is yes.
Yeah, of course. I thought that
course.
was implied, but like
I think it's implied. And there's one that I'm going to take that I think is one of the most iconic, not only venues, but events in college football. And it's on primetime TV every year. And that's the Penn State whiteout. There is no better environment in college football than a Penn State whiteout. Mark my words. And that's what's going to propel me over the top in this Harris Highlights all-time draft.
I mean, Brady, I always say that. My two favorite stadiums outside of my own teams are LSU and Penn State, and it's specifically whiteout Penn State. So
Dude,
yeah,
whiteout
100%.
Penn State, when they got the fireworks going and everything, it's so cool.
Oh yeah. Good pick, Brady.
Thanks,
It's a
Lyle.
good pick. It's a good pick. It's a good pick for the stadium, but not as great as my next pick, which is also going to be a stadium. Guys, when I roll out there, sorry, there's like a bee that was like in my face. When
There's
I roll
a
out the
bee.
greatest,
It's a murder hornet.
when I roll out the greatest team ever assembled onto the field, along with the greatest mascot, along with the greatest two-man booth in the history of college football, people are going to want to see this. Fans are going to be coming from all over to see this team. And as I mentioned, as the great, coach, or actually not coach, GM, owner, president, all that other stuff that I am, I want my fans to have a great experience.
It's a college team. They don't have GMs or owners.
Well, I'm that anyway. Okay, Brady. I'm all of
Athletic
it.
director.
I'm all of it. Not only are my tickets going to be practically free, I'm going to have, a bunch of concessions that are kind of like the new Falcons Stadium where everything's super cheap. I'm talking $1 hot dogs, $1 beers, $1 burgers, $1 nachos, $1 ice creams. Everything's super cheap.
What about the combos?
Oh, the
Combos?
Well, we're going to have some really cheap combos. But with that being said, you got a great team, you got cheap tickets, you got cheap food. A lot of people are going to want to flock. Now, if a lot of people are going to want to flock, I need the biggest stadium the country can offer me. Well, Brady, I can't even remember. I've been talking so long if you played my music cue, but if you want to play it, that's fantastic. But the biggest stadium out there, Team Harris highlights and the greatest of all time college football fantasy draft in regards to my stadium is going to go with Michigan. The record capacity ever for a game at Michigan Stadium is 115,000. I'm expecting that on a weekly basis. Yeah.
That's tough.
Lyle's turn.
That's it. Lyle's turn.
You know what? My next pick's going to be even shorter than that. So, Brady, if you want to cue up the music. Because I already made the sales pitch for it a couple minutes ago. So, enough said. With my next pick, Team Lyle selects Boom Boom Pistol Pete.
Boom Boom. Is Boom Boom a thing?
I don't know. I made it. No, probably not.
Boom Boom Pistol Pete. All right. Well,
enough said.
So cue that music, Brady. So with my mascot pick, I think I'm going to shock the world. I'm taking the Leprechaun. And if you think I'm serious, you're absolutely nuts. I'm taking literally anybody except for that dumb Leprechaun. Worst mascot in college football, right behind the tree. Now, that's an exaggeration. Puddles is the worst mascot behind the tree. But I'm taking Sparty. That man's jacked. Protein shakes for every meal of the day. Also can probably do 40 pull-ups in a row. Blake, can you do 40 pull-ups in a row? I didn't think so. Sparty can, though.
Blake can do 39.
Oh, well, that's not the same. That's just not 40. I'm sorry, Blake. But yeah, so Sparty. Also, so I think I mentioned this on the show before. I heard Michigan State fans don't like being called Sparty. Is that a thing?
Sparty, Scotty.
Oh gosh, I'm not a Michigan State fan, so I can't tell you.
That's
but
true.
Hey, if any of the 50 people watching right now are Michigan State fans, do you guys like being referred to as Sparty? Let us know.
Yeah, I was told that Sparty was like a Ohio State or Michigan calling Sparty their little brother. I don't know, but your mascot's name is Sparty, so if you don't like it, naming your mascot Sparty is on you guys. Next up, I'm going Stadium because again, I think it's a standoff between me and Brady to see who's going to wait longer to draft a quarterback, and it's going to be Brady because I'm not taking a quarterback here. Stadium, look, it's tough. I've got a soft spot for the stadiums in my state. The Rose Bowl, growing up an SC fan, SC's won like 100 Rose Bowl games. The Coliseum, obviously, especially with the renovation, is beautiful. But for me, I need a really good fight song played on repeat. And a stadium in which you're going to hear this great fight song played on repeat is going to be at Neyland Stadium in Knoxville. So I got to take Tennessee. We're going to play Rocky Top constantly because we score a lot and we win a lot. So Tennessee.
Josh, if you remember what I said to you when we were back in studio, what seemed to be 6 years ago, but was like 2 months ago.
Yes.
Josh Schaefer, you'll always be the guy that sits across from me, but now you're in the same Zoom chat as me with Blake and Lyle.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is not inaccurate.
Not at all.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right.
Like
Good
it.
on you, Lyle. Your turn.
Well, I've had some time to think about this one because now it's just process of elimination. But
It's finally going to
Okay.
happen. It's finally going to happen.
it really is. So I know who I want. So with my next pick in the all-time Harris highlights draft, I'm taking a wide receiver who's listed as a running back. Yes, he technically plays running back. I'm taking Christian McCaffrey from Stanford. That's my running back pick number one. First off, this guy should have won the Heisman too. I'm sure everybody in the chat's going to have something to say about this pick. Look, the guy does it all. You want to talk about guys that wear multiple hats? I mean, this guy is an elite, an unbelievable pass catcher who also happens to rush for 1,000-yard seasons. This is a guy I want on my team. If I'm going to have a pass-heavy offense and a team that loves to throw the ball, I want somebody that's going to be able to catch the ball like Christian McCaffrey, who does it as well as any running back maybe ever. So that's who I want as my first running back.
Good pick.
I'm just the lag just hit where Lyle just picked the McCaffrey. So the comments right now, damn right, good Lyle, applause. Hell yes, Lyle. Oh boy, wide receiver at running back. So everyone's loving the Christian McCaffrey pick. It's not bad when you can get Christian McCaffrey with your second to last pick in a fantasy draft. Here,
True.
DB Klein says, "Here comes Lyle." So Brady, is that David, or is that just someone writing?
That's me on my dad's laptop right now.
Okay. I just didn't know what was going on. All right, boys. Well, I gotta go with either a tight end or an offensive lineman right here. So I'll just go. I mean, it doesn't really matter because you guys all have tight end and offensive lineman taken, so it doesn't matter what I go with right here. Ooh, this is tough. You know what? I am going to go offensive line, and I am going to take Jake Long because why not?
Good pick.
That's my reasoning for taking an offensive lineman. Why not?
Did we not have Jake Matthews on here? Or
Yes,
any of the Matthews?
Bruce Matthews, the greatest center in NFL history, Arcadia High School.
Second.
Nope, the first Brady.
Nope.
He played, a long time, went to a lot of Pro Bowls. He's the best ever. Just because, you have Bruce, or just because you have Jeff Saturday's phone number doesn't necessarily mean that he's that good.
No, he is that good. He was in charge of protecting Peyton Manning and Aaron Rodgers.
So there you go. So,
all right.
Yeah, that's my.
Speaking of Peyton Manning, I think this is a great segue into my next pick. There's been a lot of talk about Peyton Manning joining the broadcast booth, and I think this is a perfect time for me to fill my broadcasters. Fooled you guys. You thought I was going to pick Peyton Manning. There's one guy that moves the needle a lot, and he's paired with another guy that moves the needle a lot. I'm going to go with my broadcast crew. I'm going Keith Jackson and Pat McAfee.
Love it.
One of what I think would be the most electrifying broadcast duos we could have in a booth would be Keith Jackson and Peyton Manning. What do you guys think? Think I'm right there?
It's certainly some like black and white mixed together. You got, Keith Jackson was kind of the old school, very calm, but like it's kind of what an old school broadcaster sounds like in your head. And then you just got Pat McAfee out there. He's yelling and he's screaming, and he's jumping around and he's hyped up. It would certainly be quite the combo. I'll give you that one, Brady. I mean, I think it fits you. How about that?
It fits me perfectly.
I think it fits your brand very perfectly.
Yeah, it's very for the brand. And, I get to pick my last pick here, which is kind of bittersweet. And I held off for a quarterback for a guy that is considered one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, was the first overall pick, and didn't win the Heisman. So which Colts quarterback am I talking about?
Man,
Which one am I talking about? I'm going to go with the one I brought up a minute ago. I'm going my guy Peyton Manning just to fill out my quarterback backfield, having Tim Tebow and Peyton Manning. I'm the first team to fill out all 18 spots. Look at me. I did it. Hooray.
Congratulations, Brady.
Thank you, Josh. Yeah. Blake?
Well, it's my final pick. My final pick of the night. A lot of people have been commenting and asking, begging me to take a certain tight end to follow a certain trend. For my team, we need killers out there on the field. We need them. We need some killers out there. Fortunately, Aaron Hernandez is not on this dock. So for those of you that have been begging me to take him, he's not on the dock. So I had to go another tight end route. Now it's a matter of who. We currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys that are on the clock or that are available for me to take. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this to the viewers. I'm going to ask you guys, which tight end should I take out of these 6? And whoever gets the most replies, that's who I'm going to go with. So my 6 options for tight ends are Vernon Davis, Dallas Clark, Mercedes Lewis, Todd Heap, Heath Miller, and Tyler Eifert. So out of those 6, I'll let the 30 seconds go, and I'll see what people in the replies say. So aside from that, boys, how we doing over there? How's it going in beautiful Indianapolis and beautiful? I always forget where Josh lives.
Dude,
Josh lives like
city as you.
20 minutes away from you, Blake.
It's like 45, but I always forget the name of the city.
If it were non-LA, it'd be about 6 minutes.
True. I mean, I'd be there already by now.
Yep, with you and your license.
Mm-hmm.
There's a squirrel outside.
All right, boys, they're coming in right now, and everyone is saying something different. Great. Everyone's something different.
I see a lot of Vernon Davis.
I see a lot of everything.
Blake, I think you should take Vernon Davis.
I'm not going to take Vernon Davis for what he did to me as a Saints fan. Well, we have a run go, and everyone is changing them. I'm going to go. This is the call. All right, I'm going to make my pick. Where is it? With my final pick of the here it is. I'm going to go with Heath Miller, just because I saw some people passionately go with Heath Miller. So Heath Miller, welcome to the team.
Dude, he did a great job portraying the Joker in Batman.
Great answer.
All right, so for everyone that told me to pick Heath Miller, thank you. For everyone who told me to pick someone else, I'm sorry.
Lyle.
Let's do it. All right, Mr. Irrelevant time, huh? Well,
not technically.
Well, for my own team.
For my own
team. Sorry, I guess it's not in the whole draft, but my own Mr. Irrelevant. But anyway, I've got my pick ready to go. So Brady, you can cue it up. There we go. These are words I never thought I'd say in my lifetime, but here we go. With my last pick in the all-time Harris Highlights college football draft, Team Lyle selects Adrian Peterson, running back, Oklahoma. Again, to ever spew out those words that you were going to take a guy who 3 straight years rushed for 1,000 yards. By the way, in his last season, he only played 7 games and rushed for 1,000 yards. Had double-digit touchdowns every year of his college career, including his last year when he only played 7 games. Are definitely words I never thought would come out of my mouth. But here we are with my final 2 picks. I get the running back duo of Christian McCaffrey and Adrian Peterson. Put them to work. Not really. They're not going to run it very much on my team, but I've got them anyway.
I don't think Lyle has a single pre-1998 college football player on his team.
Well, there's a theme to that.
Keyshawn Johnson?
Yeah. And Tony Gonzalez. And Tony Gonzalez.
And Ed Reed, maybe. When was Ed Reed? He was 2000.
Well, no, because 2000 and 2001.
Yeah.
I mean, sure.
All right.
So with my last pick, I kind of have, I can pick whoever I want here.
Except they have to be a quarterback.
Except they have to be a quarterback. There's a couple of really good quarterbacks on this list, which is why I've been holding out. Elway's on the list. Werfel's on the list. Roger Staubach was a guy that I was really close to taking, but I'm going to go with somebody that I've kind of had my eye on since the beginning. Almost took him earlier, but I'm not going to take him yet. Or no, but I didn't want to take him yet. Now I'm going to, and I'm going to go with Tommy Frazier, one of the first true elite dual threat quarterbacks in college football. Was an elite passer, was an elite runner, and he's also the only player in college football history to be the MVP of 3 consecutive national championship games. So I'm going with Tommy Frazier.
Mr. Irrelevant, an elite guy.
Yep,
love it.
So Brady, I did happen to notice that you added an undrafted free agent category.
Yeah. If you guys want to go through one round of UDFAs and get one additional player.
All right. Well, sounds good. Well, as the host, I get the overall pick.
No.
So this.
No.
All right. Well,
I think
I was going to say
go reverse order.
So it should start with Brady.
That sounds
Brady,
fair. That sounds fair to me.
And it was your idea. So there you go.
So I'm going to look through this right now. We have 1 wide receiver remaining. I don't think anybody's going to take a wide receiver. We got a couple tight ends. Blake, who'd you end up picking for a tight end? Heath Miller. I'm going to make sure I delete him off the list. Make sure our list is updated. Oh, man. You could get a guy like Sebastian Janikowski, the crazy Russian or whatever he is. I'm going to go with a guy that, oh, man, this is so tough. There are 2 I want to go with.
Pick another broadcast crew.
You
have a 2 squad.
I have a 2 squad. Oh, there was a guy that was on this list that I was going to take in a certain round, started hyping him up. Then I remembered I had taken somebody at that position already. And so let's see if I can copy this. I'm going to grab another DB. I'm going Deion Sanders as my UDFA. Prime time.
It's a good pick. Great pick.
Thank you.
So Brady, did you somehow make it where every player in here is
on the drop down? No, you have to just copy and paste it over.
Oh, okay. That sounds good. Well, or no, you can go.
I was going to say, who would have thought Deion Sanders would be an undrafted free agent in this thing?
All right, so I need to go with an undrafted free agent. I need someone that can get points. All the wide receivers are essentially gone. All the running backs left are still pretty good, but I don't know about that. So I am going to make a selection right here. Hopefully no one's Okay, with my undrafted free agent pick.
I'm not playing the jingle. It's not the draft anymore. It's undrafted.
Right. That's right. With my undrafted,
there you go.
With my undrafted pickup that I'm going to make, adding to my team of already elite playmakers. As I mentioned, I'm building a championship team. I need champions. So what better thing to do than, in order to add on to my championship team, than to add a champion that's going to rack up a ton of points for me as well. So that being said, I'm going to go with Deshaun Watson as my undrafted free agent pick.
I like it.
Great answer.
Thank you.
So I thought about going quarterback here. I'm also pretty happy with the 2 guys that I ended up getting. I'd put them on my own list at like 1 and 2 for like best college quarterbacks ever. So I'm thinking, what else do I need? Position of importance, of course. And you want to be able to disrupt guys. So with my undrafted free agent pick, Team Lyle selects Chase Young, defensive end, Ohio State. Get him on the same line with Ndamukong Suh. Look out.
Lyle's relevancy factor once again plays into his pick.
It's true. It's true.
That's a good pick, though, Lyle.
So then, obviously, like I mentioned, the quarterbacks. There's still a lot of good ones. D-line, linebacker, and DB, there's still some really good options. But I'm actually going to step away from those, and I'm actually going to look back to the running backs. Some of the running backs on here that have not been picked, like, it's absurd that some of these guys haven't been picked or that there have been people picked over them. And the number one guy I'm absolutely shocked is still available as an undrafted free agent is Archie Griffin. Back-to-back Heisman trophies. So, I mean, this is a slam dunk for me. Archie Griffin as my undrafted free agent.
No one grabbed OJ.
Yeah, that was another tough one because OJ, I think you could argue that even for me, in terms of USC running backs, he might even be better than Marcus Allen. For me, it was just kind of like a grab whoever you want in this situation. So I went with Marcus, but OJ didn't get picked either. So, and then when it came down to the undrafted free agent, I mean, Archie, I would have given the edge a little bit to OJ. So
I'm going to sign OJ to a training camp deal.
Yeah, that's good.
Do you guys want to come up with team names right now or have people submit for it?
People can submit because I can't think of anything right now.
Yeah.
But Josh, someone in the comments named Jordan K is saying Cooper Kupp is still on the board.
He's not.
So is Robert Woods.
Yes. Robert Woods, a more versatile receiver than Cooper Kupp is.
But that does wrap up our fantasy draft featuring the greatest in college football history. For those of you that want to help determine a winner, go to our Twitter at the HHShow_. Brady's going to get some graphics up either tonight or tomorrow where essentially just has all of our teams. We're going to open up a poll where you can vote on one of our 4 teams for whoever has the best. Voting is going to be open until next Tuesday. Before our next show. So the polls are going to be open for a week. And just go over there, vote, and let us know who you think has the best team. If you can't vote on Twitter, leave a comment right now in the live chat saying who you guys think has the best team. So, Brady, if you can put the screen back on one final time so that way you can show who's on our team. That way everyone can take a quick look and see who they think has the best team. But, guys, what are your overall thoughts on this first ever College Football Ultimate greatest of all time fantasy draft?
One of the big things that quickly stood out to me was how great of a depth there is in college football. As in, Mr. Two-time Archie Griffin didn't get picked. Chase Young, relevancy, okay, he's really good, didn't get picked. Deshaun Watson didn't get, Deion Sanders didn't get picked. There are so many guys that did not get picked. I mean, you just look down the quarterback list that we have left. Andrew Luck, RG3, Kellen Moore, Doug Flutie, Jim Plunkett, John Elway, Roger Staubach, Danny Warfel, Case Keenum, the all-time leader. There are guys that are so good that didn't get picked.
Jameis, too.
Jameis Winston, he was up top. We look at running backs, OJ, Tony Dorsett. Blake, I'm guessing, put Mark Ingram in there. Doak Walker, the award, the man named after, didn't get picked. That's the one thing that stood out to me in this first ever was how many elite talent players there truly are.
Yeah, and I think when we started making these lists, obviously, we all kind of added our quarterbacks and running backs and things like that. Wide receivers was tough because then you kind of obviously like there were waves and it was kind of like a roller coaster in college football where there was like some periods where there were a lot of elite wide receivers and then there were periods when, there weren't a lot of elite wide receivers. So I thought wide receivers, we picked the best that were available. But like quarterbacks, there were guys that did not make the list. And I mean, I think Brady kind of glanced over it earlier. You don't need to show the list to see who was on the list and who wasn't, because I feel like people could debate those. But like the quarterbacks and running back list that we have is, I mean, much larger than a lot of the other categories we had. And it's simply because there are so many good ones that we couldn't add in. I mean, like tight ends or whatever. What do we have? We have 8 tight ends, 9 tight ends there. And then quarterbacks, we had how many quarterbacks? We have 23. It was tough to narrow some of them down. So I'm not shocked that there are a lot of good guys that are still on the board.
And there's the whole, remaining players as updated as we can at this point.
Yeah. But all of you guys will be on waivers when the season starts, so we could always swap.
I was going to say, I mean, you can form an ultra elite team just off the players that weren't picked. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, you guys kind of talked about the in-depth stuff and like kind of the ins and outs with the draft. More than that, I thought it was just pretty fun. Like it was fun to like, go through the picks and do the picks and try to plan out who you wanted to take and how you wanted to formulate your team. I don't know. I thought it was fun. And I thought honestly, the last two shows have like flowed pretty well too.
One more thing that I'm going to touch on that Josh brought up a second ago was how difficult it was to come up with 12, 13, elite college wide receivers. When we got 24, 25 quarterbacks, 20 running backs, we're like, oh, that was easy. And then we're sitting here looking at receivers thinking, who else can we add?
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, there were probably a couple that we missed, but going back and looking at it afterwards, it's got to be really, really different.
One thing that I thought was tough when it came to the wide receivers was, as a college football fan since 1998 or whenever, we were all born around 98. I mean, Blake was born in 32 or whatever it was. The way I remember receivers being really good. So obviously growing up, oh, did I just tap my mic?
Yeah.
Sorry, fellas. That one would be on me. But like growing up as an SC fan, I remember Steve Smith and Dwayne Jarrett being unreal together. But then obviously, like I get older and I realized there were even better guys in college football at the time. And obviously they were both like Biletnikoff finalists like multiple times, but never won the thing and then went into the pros and never panned out or whatever. But for me, like growing up, those guys were elite. But then when you compare guys like the two of them, for example, as an SC fan growing up, looking at some of the guys that were on this list, you're just like, man, like some of these, there's just a bigger discrepancy, I think, between like the best of the best and someone who's really good. Where when you have all of these different quarterbacks, like I think it's pretty, you can tell that there is a bigger group of elite quarterbacks that you can select rather than, okay, well, this is a good quarterback. Does he make the list or not? I thought there was no issue with the quarterbacks and running backs we put on, but there were other categories where we're like, all right, these guys, this is a group of 8 guys who were elite. This is a group of 8 guys who were really good, but are clearly not nearly as good as the guys that are at the top. So,
yeah, I mean, it was overall a lot of fun. So shout out to Brady for the great idea a few weeks ago. For those of you that are still watching the chat, if you guys have any ideas you'd like to see discussed in future shows, as fun of an idea as you can come up with, because there's not going to be really any college football news. So something like this that took 2 weeks to, do something fun that's interactive that you guys can enjoy. I know fans want trivia to come back, so maybe in a week or two we could bring back some trivia or something like that, because I know everyone enjoys that. But yeah, if you have any fun ideas, hit us up on Twitter at the HHShow_. Also make sure to follow us there, because that's where the polls are going to be posted, where you can vote for whoever had the best team. So yeah, as always, thank you to everyone for watching, boys. We'll figure out if we're doing a show next week. We'll post all the information on Twitter, but this was fun. So for Josh Schaefer, Lyle Goldstein, our executive producer, Brady Klein, this has been Blake Harris from my backyard in beautiful Monrovia, California, and we will see you guys next week.